For numbers 11, 12, and 13, it is telling me that I need to write the equation of a line with the given information. We're going to want this in slope-intercept form. Which is y equals mx plus b. So, but from the information they gave us, we are going to need to use point-slope form. Point-slope form and slope-intercept form are not on the blue sheet. So you need to know you need to have those memorized. You need to know what those formulas are. Basically, the point-slope form is you keep your y's together and you keep your x's together. This is point-slope form. So you'll use point-slope form anytime we tell you that it goes through a point and we give you another line to compare it to. So if I say a line is the line that you're trying to create needs to be parallel to this and go through this. If we know that two lines are parallel, then we know that the lines must have the same slope. In the slope-intercept form, m represents the slope. Same here. M is going to be slope. The slope of this line here is 3 because it's in the place where m would be in y equals mx plus b. So this is the same as y equals mx plus b. So m is 3. Your slope is 3. Do not say that the slope is 3x. That is not true. Slope is just a number. It does not have any variables. When you're counting the slope of something, you'll never have an x. You'll just be counting. So we know the slope is 3. In order to put it in point-slope form, we also need to know what our x1 and y1 are. And they give those to us right here. So this is x, this is x1 and y1. So my x1 is -1, my y1 is -2. I can plug all those in now. I can say y minus -2 equals m times x minus x1. If we have minus and negative, those are going to create a positive. So this is really going to say y plus 2 equals 3, not m. Three x plus 1. Now what you're going to do is distribute that 3 in. So I'm going to distribute the 3 to the x and the 1. So y plus 2 equals 3x plus 3. And the final step is I need it to say y equals. So in order to get this to say y equals, I need to subtract this 2 from both sides. So if I subtract 2, I get y equals 3x plus 1. Now for number 12, it tells me I need to make a line that's perpendicular to this and goes through the points 3, 3, or the point 3, 3, excuse me. So I know that I'm going to need m, x1, and y1. M, x1, and y1. In order to figure out my slope, I need to rearrange this. But to make things easy, I already know my x1 and y1. So my x1 is 3, my y1 is 3. I need to figure out what the slope of this line is because the slope of the line that I'm creating depends on it. It's going to be perpendicular to this. So I need to get this into slope-intercept form so I can find my y. My m. So I'm going to move this around. I'll do it on a sticky note. So if I've got 3y plus 2x equals 6, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. So I get 3y equals -2x plus 6. I brought my -2 to the front, my -2x to the front because I want to keep it as close to this form as possible. Now I'll divide everything by 3. And y equals -2/3 x plus 2. So the slope of this line here is -2/3. In order for me to create the slope of a line that's perpendicular to this line, I'm going to need to take -2/3 and find the opposite reciprocal. Opposite meaning I changed the sign from negative to positive, or if this was positive, it would go positive to negative. So I take the opposite sign, and reciprocal meaning I flip my fraction. So the opposite reciprocal of this one would be 3 over 2, and it'll be positive. I flipped my fraction and I changed my sign. So the slope of the line I'm making is going to be 3/2. Now I can plug all of that into my point slope form. And I can do y minus 3, which is my y1, equals m times x minus x1, which is 3. I need to distribute my 3/2 to the x and the -3. So I get y minus 3 equals 3/2 x minus 9/2, because 3 times 3 will give me 9 over 2. And then what I need to do is add 3 to both sides. You can do this in your calculator if you'd like. Oh, maybe not that one. Give me just a second. So if you didn't want to say that 9/2 was 4.5, you could do -9/2 plus 3, and it will give you -1.5. So your final answer will be y equals 3/2 x minus 1.5. I like to leave my b value, my y-intercept, as a decimal instead of a fraction like this, because I want to know how far I'm going to go up my y-axis. I know how to go up 1.5, but trying to go up -9/2 plus 3 might be a little bit more difficult. And I like to also leave my slope as a fraction, because I like to know it's going to be rise over run. I'm going to go up 3 and over 2. Now for number 13. It says a line parallel to the line that goes through these 2 points and goes through this point. So I need, again, my slope, my x1 and my y1. If the line is going to be parallel to the line that goes through these 2, I can use these 2 to find the slope using the slope formula, which is y minus, I'll put it on a sticky. It'll be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that'll give me my slope. So if I call this y2 and y1, it'll be 8 minus 2 over 0 minus 4. Or it'll be 6 over -4, which will become -3/2. So the slope of the line going through these points right here is going to be -3/2. And the slope of the line parallel to that will also be -3/2. I know my x1 and y1 come from the point of the line that I'm writing that's going to go through that point. The line I'm making will go through this point, so x1 is 1 and y1 is 1. And then from there, I'll plug it into my point slope form. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I'll distribute my -3/2. And I'll get y minus 1 equals -3/2 x plus 3/2. Or you could change this to 1.5 if you want. Then I need to add 1 to both sides. And your final answer will be y equals -3/2 x plus 2.5. I'm going to go ahead and make a new video for 14, 15, and 16.